If you've been anywhere near social media this weekend, you're likely one of the thousands who witnessed mainstream media and politicians gaslighting us all in real time. The subject was an outbreak of hooliganism in Amsterdam, prompted by the racist fans of Maccabi Tel Aviv. That racist violence was met with violence from locals, some of it admittedly racist. But, and this is where the gaslighting comes in, that two-way mob violence was, after the fact, redesignated a racist pogrom. These were just some of the headlines from international media describing the events. The New York Times described the clashes as anti-Semitic attacks. In The Telegraph, columnist Brendan O'Neill referred to the clashes as pogroms having returned to Europe. And while they didn't label the clashes anti-Semitic, even The Guardian cast the Israeli football fans as the victims. Politicians were even quicker to characterize events as brazenly anti-Semitic. British Foreign Secretary David Lammy said he was horrified by the anti-Semitic attacks, or what he called anti-Semitic attacks. Joe Biden also called the clashes anti-Semitic while linking them with the historic persecution of Jews in Europe. Meanwhile, King Willem-Alexander of the Netherlands connected the skirmishes to the Holocaust, saying this: "We failed the Jewish community of the Netherlands during World War II, and last night we failed again." Sky News, though, at first at least, had a more balanced take.
Violence in Amsterdam left at least 5 people injured and dozens have been arrested. But what happened? Supporters of Israeli football club Maccabi Tel Aviv arrived in Amsterdam ahead of their UEFA Europa League match against Amsterdam club Ajax. On Wednesday, social media videos verified by Sky News show Maccabi Tel Aviv fans tearing down Palestinian flags from outside of homes. Other social media videos appeared to show residents chasing Maccabi Tel Aviv fans. On Thursday, just before the game, crowds of Maccabi fans were filmed singing racist and anti-Arab songs. While a pro-Palestinian demonstration had been banned by the mayor over fears there would be clashes. Later that evening during the match, Israeli supporters appeared to disrupt the minute silence for Valencia flood victims with chants, whistles and fireworks. Maccabi fans were seen attacking locals as a police car can be seen driving by. People with Palestinian flags were seen marching on the streets. Maccabi supporters say they were beaten and attacked on the streets of the Dutch capital, with videos showing some of the violence.
Say free Palestine and we go. Good.
Sky News could not independently verify all of the footage shown. Police arrested 62 people. 5 were taken to hospital, but have since been discharged. Israeli far-right ultras are notorious for their racism and physical violence. Dutch, Israeli and British leaders denounced the attacks as anti-Semitic and even referred to it as a pogrom. But their statements failed to mention the assaults by the Israeli hooligans against Dutch citizens.
So according to that report, before any violence broke out after that football match on Thursday night, Israeli fans had torn down Palestinian flags, disrupted a minute's silence at the march and chanted racist songs about Arabs. It's worth noting that one line from that chant not shown on TV was this: "Ole, ole, ole, why is school out in Gaza? There are no children left there." Right, so that's what they were chanting. The report also shows that after the match, gangs of Israeli fans attacked locals in the city, and it pointed out the presence of far-right Israeli ultras among the fans. And it noted that political leaders condemned the attacks on Israeli fans as anti-Semitic without mentioning the assaults by Israelis on Dutch citizens. It turns out, though, that report we just showed you from Sky News was in fact too balanced, and it was quickly deleted and replaced with a new one. The original report is on the left, the new one is on the right, and in the new version, the violence in Amsterdam is immediately framed as anti-Semitic. The new report also had a different opening, setting up the narrative of Israeli victimhood right from the start.
Violence in Amsterdam left at least 5 people injured and dozens have been arrested. But what happened?
Everything should be done to track down and prosecute the perpetrators. This is simply anti-Semitic violence against Israelis that actually defies description.
That was Dutch Prime Minister Dick Schoof describing the scenes in Amsterdam as anti-Semitic before the audience has even seen them. They haven't seen the scenes yet in that package. There are other changes too. Added to the new report was this interview with a Maccabi fan.
It's the same feeling that I felt in the morning of the 7th of October.
Now, no interviews with Dutch locals were added to that report. And remember the scene reporting Maccabi fans attacking locals after the match? Well, that was replaced with this.
A video posted on social media shows a large group of hooded men dressed in black running down the street and striking people at random.
So it's no longer Maccabi hooligans doing the attacks, but unidentifiable hooded men. Now, that footage was filmed by Dutch photojournalist Annette de Graaf, who has complained about her video being misused by mainstream media. This is how she says it should be reported. Write down, Maccabi supporters attacked Amsterdam citizens in front of Central Station after the game. She also has asked for media outlets to remove her footage and apologise because they are sort of misrepresenting it as the fans being attacked, not the fans doing the attacking. De Graaf's footage also appears to have been manipulated on BBC Newsnight during an interview with Maccabi supporter Ami Schumann.
No police, no one to take care of us because they didn't know what is going to happen. And suddenly a lot of people come to attack us. A lot of people, like 100, maybe more, with belts and sticks and rock. And they took everything that they can to beat Israeli and Jews.
So that was BBC Newsnight playing video of Israeli football fans attacking locals to illustrate a story in which the hooligans are cast as the victims. Right? So the person who filmed that footage said they were the Israeli football fans. If you're going to use that footage, you better be honest or take it down and apologise. I don't think the BBC have. Teenage journalist Ome Bender was also at the scene, following the crowd of Maccabi fans from the football stadium until they were intercepted by the police. His footage also tells a very different story from how our media reported the clashes.
We lopen er nu recht achter. Oké, ze sluiten hun in. Ze worden een soort van ingesloten, zodat we niet de dam op kunnen. Maar we zitten in principe nu wel echt in het centrum. Dus we staan weer op stilstand. Ik denk dat ze daarheen gaan. Ik vind, het ziet er levensgevaarlijk uit. Ze staan met ijzeren pijpen, stokken. Alle harde dingen die op knuppels lijken hebben ze op straat gevonden. Lopen ze gewoon mee te patrouilleren. En alles wat ze niet bevalt gaat eraan. Dit wordt nog wat. Er is een soort team. Een soort teamoverleg. Leader of the bunch is er. Ze hebben gewoon kinderen, ik denk nog geen 12 jaar oud, lopen met stokken door de kleine straatjes voorop.
Bender also caught this threatening moment.
Zo, ik moest ook net stoppen met filmen. Ze zeiden, voor je eigen veiligheid zet nu je mic uit. Maar ze zijn niet blij.
Media. No, we're media. So okay.
So stop. For you, for your safety.
Wow. So that's a Maccabi fan, so a fan that's come over from Israel, telling that Dutch guy with a camera, stop filming for your own safety, right? And these are the people being cast as the victims by the Western media. Ofer Kassif is a left-wing member of the Knesset, and that's Israel's parliament, of course. Here's how he described Israeli media distortions of the clashes in Amsterdam. The spirit of Israeli fascism has reached Amsterdam. Fans go on a violent rampage, beating, tearing up Palestinian flags in the streets as if they were an occupying force and shouting Nazi slogans in favor of the extermination of a nation, and whining when the situation degenerates into complete chaos and violence returns to them like a boomerang. Any violence is obscene and unacceptable. Both sides should be held accountable for their hooliganism, and the Israeli media, as usual, approaches, hides, and distorts reality in the service of the authorities. Now, he's talking about the Israeli media. We can equally talk about the Western media in this situation. Following the skirmishes in Amsterdam, the Israeli government has now issued this warning to its citizens. Israel warns of attacks across Europe and urges citizens to stay away from large events. But on their way home from Amsterdam on special evacuation flights arranged by the Israeli government, Maccabi fans didn't seem too upset. Ash, how did a rampage by a group of racist football ultras end up with a bunch of headlines saying this was a pogrom in Europe comparable to the Holocaust.
Israel really is the most extraordinary country on the planet, right? Credit where credit's due. I didn't think that they would be able to get the entirety of the Western media establishment to come out in support of football hooliganism. But they've done it. They've somehow done it. They've achieved the impossible. I mean, mashallah, phenomenal work. I mean, it's just gaslighting, right? It's just gaslighting. And the thing is that anyone who knows even the slightest thing about football culture would be able to tell you that, you know, this behavior by Israeli football fans, Maccabi Tel Aviv fans, it's not unheard of when it comes to football away days, all right? Like, football culture always reflects some aspect of political culture, right? Like, whether it's like, Celtic v Rangers, or, whether it's, Red Star Belgrade, or like, football has always done this, all right? It's always reflected the political culture in some way. Now, Maccabi Tel Aviv has tended to reflect some of the most fascistic, right-wing, racist, misogynist elements of Israeli political culture. So a while ago, not recently, but on another away day, I believe it was in the Netherlands as well, you had a big group of Maccabi Tel Aviv fans singing one of their favorite songs, which accuses a rival Israeli team of being Arab fuckers, essentially, and says, we're going to get your girls who like to party, i.e. the girls from the country they've come to visit for a football match, we're going to rape them. All right. That is one of their songs. It is one of the most egregiously obnoxious and violent, hooligan cultures in the world, I would say. Clearly what happened is that, like, they came to Amsterdam, they tore down Palestinian flags, they attacked locals, and after starting a fight in a city, locals responded with violence. I'm not saying that that's the right thing to do, but I think it's an inevitable thing to happen when you've got, a bunch of foreign football hooligans coming and attacking your city, and violence was met with violence. This was a case of what in football parlance would be known as chat shit, get banged. But because you've got this context whereby anything that an Israeli is involved with, the Israeli state and its advocates internationally will try and turn it into a story about the persecution of Jewish people. Now, I've got no doubts that some of the people involved in that violence were probably anti-Semitic or said anti-Semitic things. I've got absolutely no doubt about that. I've also got no doubt that many of those responding with violence will have been motivated by the fact that these foreign football fans have come along and started trashing the city that they're visiting. Now, again, it's not unheard of for football fans to do that kind of thing. It's not unheard of for football fans to racially abuse people in the countries that they visit. We saw that with Chelsea supporters famously pushing a black guy off of a Paris metro. But what is unique is that then suddenly you've got this playing of the victim afterwards, right? You started a fight, you came off worse in it, and then suddenly you're being evacuated by your home country. You've got people comparing it to Kristallnacht, which is just gratuitously offensive, and you've got governments sort of clutching their pearls about it. One of the things that I think turns it into a story which goes this way is that it's not just about what the Israeli state says, is that you've got these organizations and institutions which claim to be speaking in the interests of Jewish people. Like, you had a Holocaust Remembrance Institution. I can't remember the exact one. But you had a Holocaust Remembrance Institution, saying that this was anti-Semitic violence and that this was a pogrom. These are well-respected institutions, in part because they're entrusted with being the custodians with one of the most painful parts of European history. And they weaponize that power to protect, in this case, racist, violent thugs. I mean, it's completely disgusting. And one of the things that I think happens because of it is that people can access this information, they can see what really happened. Is that I think that their ability to respond with empathy and understanding when it comes to anti-Semitism is diminished. I think that one of the effects of this weaponization of the language of anti-Semitism is to actually make anti-Semitism worse. I think that that's one of the downstream effects of it. But yeah, as someone who both feels passionately about the genocide that Israel is waging in Gaza, and also someone who's really into football, I looked at the news of the last few days and I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Sorry for swearing a lot. Some of it was my swearing, some of it was necessary swearing to convey the ugliness of some of these chants.
I mean, it is the president of the United States tweeting about it as well. Like, as you say, I'm sure some of the people who fought back were, unpleasant people who may have said racist things. But the story here is, you've got this group of football ultras that go to a foreign country, and as you say, it's not unusual, it's not exceptional to Israeli football fans, right? This happens, but they go there, they cause a ruckus, they say racist things. Obviously. Amsterdam has a large Arab population. They're going around shouting horrible racist things about Arabs. Like, you're going to get a response. And then within 24 hours, the president of the most powerful country in the world is tweeting, defending this bunch of hooligans. Right? So I can't think of, when people say you shouldn't talk about like Israeli exceptionalism, because it's tropey to say we treat Israel differently to how we treat other countries. But it is unusual to have the president of the United States tweeting in defense of a bunch of football thugs getting beaten up in a foreign city. Like, why is he even talking about this?
I half expect like the Chelsea headhunters or, intercity firm next time to be like, right, next time, lads, we've got to get a head of state involved. All right, that's the level. I think it's, and this is the thing, which is sort of, unique here, is that it's not just being, violent racist thugs, of which there are many from many cultures, many countries. All right. It's being violent racist thugs from a country that is currently waging a genocide and then going off like, rolling around on the ground, pretending that, your leg just got taken off in a sliding tackle. It's the combination of viciousness, racism, and then claiming victimhood, which is the thing which I think really drives people crazy. I think it drives me crazy. All right. One or the other. Pick a lane.